Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. Thank you very much for joining in today. On my last South Australia trip, I did a review of the Bushranger Sand Flag. I thought I'm going to take that out of the trip video and make a dedicated review for it and expand that a little bit more. Let me first start with a little introduction why you need a sand flag if you do any type of desert driving. For the Simpson Desert, for example, a sand flag is mandatory and it is simply a safety device. If you have two vehicles cresting a sand dune from the opposite direction, you don't have a sand flag, a lot of people use a lot of momentum, you have a big chance for a frontal collision when you crest. And that obviously would be quite unfortunate, especially in the desert. So to prevent that, you have a sand flag. That means you are cresting the hill, but you will see the oncoming vehicle sand flag. Ideally, the oncoming vehicle will see your sand flag, and that means you can slow down and prevent a frontal collision. With desert crossings, like for example the Simpson, where you do any of the regular lines, it is really absolutely vital to have a sand flag. I show you here the exact regulations for a sand flag, but it is really important that the sand flag is high enough. On quite a few desert crossings we saw people who have a tiny little sand flag somewhere on the roof rack, and really that completely defeats the purpose. You may as well not have a sand flag. I had quite a few sand flags. I started with a $5 bicycle flag on top of my Defender, but to be honest that didn't last very long and I quickly lost the top flag, which was only a little plastic piece, so not a good solution. After that I actually also purchased a hard pole flag, which is an extendable flag. I don't have that anymore though, I sold that, and that had no vibration in it. It was pretty much solid. You could extend it like a fishing rod, but very little flexibility. Because of that, the pole was very big, especially at the bottom, and I didn't really like it. I never used it. I then purchased before that trip actually this Bushranger flag. And that is still the same Bushranger flag I have been using for 6 or 7 years. However, I think 2 years ago I lost the top part of the flag, as you can see here, so that was time for renewal. When I looked into purchasing a replacement flag, I noticed that I actually could purchase a completely new sand flag for $20 more on eBay. So that's what, and that is the sand flag here, which I purchased, and I used that on 2 trips, and to be honest, for the price, pretty good. I think that whole flag was $60. However, it has a big shortcoming, which also the old Bushranger flag had, which I'm gonna go into a little bit later. But on the 2 trips I used that flag, value for money, not too bad. Just before our South Australia trip, my good mate Scotty hooked me up with one of the new Bushranger flags, which we have here. So I didn't pay for that. That has been given to me for testing and review purposes, but that's pretty much where it ends. I will always give you my honest opinion about any product I do review, no matter whether it has been provided to me for free, whether I purchase it, it absolutely makes no difference for me. So anyway, to get into it, there are 3 main components I look out for on any sand flag purchase. Number 1, it would be the actual flag, if that is a solid material, if it's attached properly, because very easy to lose them. And I can nearly guarantee if you have the flag for a few years, you will lose it. Because at some stage you go to gidgy grooves, you have trees there, and they are easy to take off. So that is number 1. And the cheap one here, that's a pretty solid flag. It is attached with 2 cable ties, like they nearly all are. A little bung here on top, it doesn't slip out easily. So that does definitely does do the job. The second important thing would be how the poles actually connect. Yeah, how you screw them in, how easy that is, how easy it is to unscrew them. And then you really have the quick connection mechanism. Most flags really use kind of a Nitto style fitting where you have some little ball bearings in here. Yeah, you sit that in and then it secures. And that is also what the old Bushranger flag has. One disadvantage I found from the cheap eBay flag, because the poles itself are far more rigid than the Bushranger. All the bend comes from the spring mount at the bottom. The Bushranger poles in general are more flexible, so the bend comes from the whole pole and not just leaning backwards from the mount. So let's now switch to my original review of these Bushranger flag, which I did on the Googs track. Yeah, it's time for sand flag. We had the first oncoming vehicle on the Googs, and supposedly there are another 5 vehicles coming in our direction, so we thought we're gonna put the sand flags on. Scotty actually hooked me up with the Bushranger sand flag, which is the same I purchased probably 3 years ago. But one of the issues I had from time to time is that the mount is kind of a Nitto fitting, which is also used on air hoses and so on, and theoretically that's all pretty easy to connect and disconnect, but when you, especially in the desert, and you have dust and sand going in, it has inside some small little roller bearings and they get stuck, and I had instances where I could not actually take the flag off anymore, or I needed to put WD-40 in, and took a lot of effort. So anyway, Bushranger addressed that issue, which I like. I like if companies actually improve their stuff and don't sit on something when it can be improved. And what they did now is put a different mount in here. I already removed my Nitto mount and put that new mount in. That's just one bolt. And the beauty here is that you have a pin now. You just chuck it on top, put the pin in, and you are done. With the new mounting system, it can't be declog up or grime up and will be always easy to remove. So I really like that. And yeah, the rest is pretty much like, you know, like the sand flags are. And that's one suggestion for Bushranger, maybe include a spare flag, because everyone I know which has been through the desert with us at some stage lost one of that flags, so it would be good to have a spare one in there. But I prefer definitely the flexible type here, not the rigid one. The rigid one is super big and extendable, so yeah, pretty good, and I like that. So I replaced my old with the new. So finally, if you are wondering which sand flag is right for you, my suggestion would be the following. If you only want to do the Simpson once off and you're going to spend 3-4 days there and that will be it, I would say you can go with one of the cheaper $49 flags from eBay. However, if you want to do more desert or beach driving, want a higher quality flag which is easier to assemble even after some years time, I would definitely recommend the Bushranger flag. On the South Australia trip, I had both sand flags with me, as I didn't know whether I like the new Bushranger flag, and having the choice of running either of the flags, I definitely opted for the Bushranger flag. It has a better mounting system, it's easier to assemble. I like better how the flag behaves when you drive, and for me, yeah, it's a no-brainer really. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope the video provided you some information and maybe helps you to choose the right sand flag. As always, please help me out. Like my channel, subscribe, and if you can, maybe even head over to Patreon, become one of my Patreon supporters and help me making these videos, because my channel is completely self-funded. Thank you very much. You're really helping making these videos possible. See you along the tracks.